What is going on? What is going on? Here I am. I scheduled the What is going on? Here I am. I scheduled the What is going on? Here I am. I scheduled the What is going on? Here I am. Echo. Oh man, oh man. And I got smudges on my glasses. Good morning, afternoon, evening, day, wherever you are. I'm Sean. And this is Saturdays with Sean, where I go over some RPG stuff that's happened in the week. What's going on? Harrigan, the first one. It's a comment. What's up, buddy? Hello, Victor. Good morning. Thinking of the question du jour. What was your... Here we go. What was the second role-playing game you have ever played? The second role-playing game you've ever played. You reach back, some of you old farts, and think back. What was the second RPG you played? Can you remember? Mine, many of us will probably say, I can't remember if it was the second or third. At least that's my experience. Mine would have been either Top Secret or Star Trek. Can't remember. Those two kind of played second fiddle to AD&D. Roger, good morning, Zagrave. The question is, what was the second tabletop role-playing game that you've ever played? Yeah, Harrigan's a perfect example. I wish I remembered, and then he's got like 3, right? Yeah, Wayne or Traveler or Boot Hill. Oof, never played Boot Hill. I remember that was always in the Dragon and Dungeon magazines back in the day. Probably Dragon, right? Because I think Dungeon came quite a bit later. Star Frontiers or Star Frontier, if you will. Sounds French. Fancy. No first. Only second here, folks. GURPS. We got GURPS, got Traveler, Boot Hill maybe. Second RPG that you ever played. God, I haven't busted out Star Trek in a while. I should page through that thing. It's been a long time. Ty, good morning. California, you're hardcore, Ty. Hardcore. I mean, what else are you going to be doing? Sleeping? I mean, seriously. I guess it all depends on what time you went to bed last night. It's always... I'm an old... Man, when I was growing up, I was that kid that slept till noon. Never getting up before noon. Maybe 11. 10 was early. But now, man, early bird gets the worm. Good morning, Joe Swick. Second role-playing game you ever played. Not the first, the second. Number 2. Sometimes that holds a special place in our heart, right? We always know number 1. Now Joe's a 5 a.m. during the week. Yeah, kids probably change that quite a bit too, I'm guessing. Kids and babies. Well, babies are kids, I guess, too, right? I don't know that realm. How's everybody doing? Settle in. Go get yourself a coffee, beer. Don't get beer or drink if you're in the U.S. Joe says, No, Hero Quest. No, I don't know much about Hero Quest. I know it's got buzz. It was re-released and everything, but is that not a board game-ish? Is that like a Descent kind of game? I don't know. I'm ignorant to Hero Quest, obviously. Ty says one of the only things that was in the Dragon magazines besides D&D stuff was Marvel stuff. Well, that's true. Marvel, Boot Hill. What else? Star Frontiers was probably in there. Board game RPG. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I like Descent. Come on, Joe. Strictly RPG. You gotta, even if it's like I only played AD&D until 1980, whatever. It could be second edition. Marvel file for the win. Morning beverage trivia. Our founding fathers often started the day with hard cider. And it's AD&D 2E. That's fair. That's fair. It's a different game, I think. I think almost every edition of D&D is a different game, some would say. Some would even say that it's not even OSR. Whew. Hot take. Pace Setter and Journey. Journey ads in Season magazine. Weg Star Wars and Vampire. Oh, no, come on. We don't need the whole portfolio here, Joe. Just number 2. Because we could be here all day if everybody were routing off their list. Ranting off? Putting out their list. Dragon magazine. Season. How'd you go from Dragon to Season magazine? Take all the history, Joe. Has everybody run the Has everybody read Designers and Dragons? Just curious how many have read that series. I haven't read the whole thing. I do have it. I think I kickstarted it. No. Yeah, I think I kickstarted it back in the day. Orcus Dorcas Morning, second RPG you ever played. And playing is running, right? Playing is running. If you play, you play. If you're a player, if you're a game master, you're still playing the game. Second one I ran or second one I played? Couple times, Orcus says. Craig Shipman, Third Floor Wars. He interviewed the author of that. It's still going. He's like still doing research. Because there's been quite a bit of gap, I think, with the last book to like the modern day. So a lot of PBTA games and stuff like that. I think Blades might not have been included in that. Brett Pazinski, good to see you, man. Oh, he's on top of it. Enters with the greeting and the game. Bam. Paranoia First Edition. Paranoia First Edition. I think it all depends on who we've hung around with, right? Maybe that's next week's. Who got you into the hobby? Andy Hall, morning. Second game, Top Secret Bingo. I'm with you, Andy. Mine was either Star Trek or Top Secret. Can't remember which one. Top Secret, man. It just had the most badass box, right? The cover. I mean, come on. If you wanted to play a freaking espionage game, there was no better cover for an RPG that encapsulated the feel of it than Top Secret. And than any other book that's out there, period. This is my take. Even the D&Ds. That's right. Bring on the hate. Top Secret had the best. I still think it does. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Yeah. I got mine signed by Merle. I don't know. The game didn't age well for me, for sure. But Gamma World, Arrogance, I had a ton of these games. Fast as Star Trek, DW, Judge Dredd. Could not get them to the table. Still got them, don't you, Harrigan? I know you had a trove back home that you unveiled or uncovered. Okay, cool. Gamma World was early too, now that I think about it, Harrigan says. Top Secret. Man. Remember building out a van? Because I don't know, I was a van guy, a van kid. Like, I liked custom vans. I thought they were just the best freaking thing in the world. My cousin had one. You know, mag chrome rims, plush carpet, wizard van. Except he didn't have the wizard on it. And I remember making a secret agent hideout and van. And of course, the secret agent hideout had to have a secret door and, Bat cave or whatever equivalent. Man, I think I still might have one of those somewhere. Name your first wizard van. My cousin's was a Chevy for sure. And some of those are just so kick-ass. I bet you they got them all over in Cali, don't they? Ty, don't they have them all over in Cali? Wizard vans? It's the weather doesn't age them. Harriet says Mecton, Palladium Fantasy. All games I think I have my players to make characters for, but never actually played. Got a couple Kickstarter arrivals. Now it's going to start to rain. Kickstarter arrivals, I think. It's everything I think I backed. Everything I think I backed is now coming to some degree. I think I had a very huge lull in what Kickstarters I've backed in the last year. I'd have to double check and see what the status of those. Like, when did I kick? When was the most recent one that I kicked? And where is that at? Because I don't think I kicked in for one in a little while. So now I'm going to start getting ones that show up once a month, hopefully. Michael Holland, second RPG you ever played? Wayne, back in the day, we bought games whenever they showed up, not like we had lots of choice. High school in a Dodge, 3 on the tree. I didn't learn how to drive a 3 on the tree. My mother had a 1960. What year was it? 65? Mercedes? It was nice. I have no idea why she bought it. And it was 3 on the tree. That was before I was too old to drive. It's like I might have been 13. I didn't get to drive a 3 on the tree until I actually was 21. And the place that I worked for, an electrical contractor, had a pickup truck that had 3 on the tree. Wasn't that hard. Wasn't as hard as I anticipated it would be. I don't know why. Was it like first is up and away, second straight down, third was up into the middle, over towards me and down? I think. Or was it like the opposite? Second was up? I don't know. What are you talking about? Cars and the 3 on the tree. Phil McClory, second RPG, Mage, The Ascension. Whoa. You know, there's a little goth in Phil, I think. There's a little goth in Phil, I think. I don't know why any White Wolf game to me is just lost. I am so lost on those. Never exposed. Like, there's so many more games for the age of those games compared to everything I know in the RPG hobby. Those are the most like unknown to me, foreign. Storyteller system completely lost on me. Couldn't even tell you what I know it's, I think. See, I can't even tell you. I played one Wraith game that Brett ran at Gary Con one year. Like, completely lost on me. Wayne says, ran the hell out of Mage for like 5 years. Jason Weitzel. Good morning. Beer Leaguer. Second role-playing game you ever played. Ty says Kickstarter for Avatar, the Airbender, is out on Drive-Thru RPG. I know that. But I think I paid for my Kids on Bikes second edition this week. Actually, that's a good point. That I kicked in for kids. So that would be the most recent. But before that, it's been a huge lull for me. Michael says, West End game Star Wars. Found it during a family trip to Disneyland. Was being sold in a Star Tours gift shop. Spent most of the souvenir money on the core book at Star Wars Sourcebook. You know, I think I had WEG. So here's the thing. This might be another one. Like another question. I should write these down. What RPG? Don't answer this because you got to save it. But I think WEG was the one RPG that I've owned the longest and never played. I still have my original and never played it. And I had it from, I don't know why we never played it. Honestly, I have no idea why. Because a few of us had it. I mean, why wouldn't you back then, right? Like, it was Star Wars, dude. And to this day, I've never played WEG. Did I even play it at a convention? I don't think so. I thought at one point I sat down at a table. Something came up. Like, I went to OshCon or something in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I could have swore, like, oh, there's a Star Wars WEG game. I'll get in on that. And I remembered looking at the character sheet, but I don't remember playing. So I think it might have been where something came up and I had to leave, or that the table was full. I don't remember. Never played. Victor says, I wish I'd gotten into the WOD games, World of Darkness games, back when they came out. BK Dan. What's up, BK Dan? GM Sean. BK Dan. What second RPG ever played? Oh, he did put that in there. Personally, have been 5e all the way for the last 10 years. Well, you can't have been the last 10 years, right? Because it's only been out for 12, 11. TSR's Marvel Superheroes. Jason says, Human Torch. Yeah, I could see you as a Human Torch guy. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't even know the comics very well. Only from what I've seen, right? Captain America played the Human Torch, right? Captain America played the Human Torch. Go figure. Orcus Dorcas, memories hazy, but second game is a toss-up between ElfQuest or Star Frontiers. Yeah, it's same here. I don't remember if it was Top Secret was the second, or Star Trek was. Fastest Star Trek. It's hard to remember. Things get a little cloudy. Harrigan encountered what we're encountering now, most of us, where he says, made WEG Star Wars characters, played 1 to 2 sessions, and my guys just wanted AD&D. See? It was alive back then. Hasn't changed. Michael says, I'm running Star Wars 1E at the moment. WEG 1E. My group wanted to experience the game. It is messy to say the least. Really? Parts are awesome. Parts need work. I heard Jedi is like broke. Like if you play Jedi, it just breaks the game. TMNT. Wayne, Sean could not figure out D6 Star Wars. WEG was my go-to con game to run. I didn't say I couldn't figure it out. We just never played it. BK, second RPG, believe it or not, Palladium Rifts. Second RPG I ever played. I don't think that's unbelievable. That was 88. Yeah, that's sure. Lucas, hello from Nebraska. Lucas, second RPG ever played. Wolverine is the man. Hate Hugh as Wolverine. Ty, you are all full of opinions, buddy. Hate. So much hate in Ty. So much anger. Hate leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark side. Release it, Ty. 5e was in reference to D&D. Yeah, for sure, man. Savage Worlds. All right. I suppose we should get on to something. It's not a heavy week. It's not a heavy week. I think, right, like people that are Kickstarters, like they don't do it now, right? I don't think like this is a heavy Kickstarter season. Thought I read or heard somewhere that people typically don't do Kickstarters in the fourth-ish quarter of the year, only because there's like some tax wackiness that occurs, right? So if you you have to pay the taxes for this year in April if you run the Kickstarter now, but if you wait, that you can gain the revenue, pay the taxes next year. Like I think there's a weird timing with taxes that people get really, like if you know what you're doing, you don't want to do it November or December of the year. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but we'll get into it. We'll talk about a few things. I got a couple Kickstarter arrivals I mentioned. We'll maybe go through it. One, I'm a little disappointed because I was going to do a kind of a page through and then realize I never got the PDF. And then I thought, did I not get the PDF and I should have? So then I looked up my pledge. There's no PDF included. So I don't know if I knew that at the time or I did and I just opted not to get it. So I'm a little miffed at that because I'm a big fan of getting the printed version and the PDF, and even then maybe just PDF. I don't know what I'm doing over here. Does a one shot count as being played? Sure, Ty. You want to change? I don't know if you can rescind your previous submission. I'm sorry, Ty. Sorry. If you do, I'll have to kick you. The only Kickstarter I'm doing right now is from Tabletop Journeys. They're doing 5e D&D stuff. Well, there is no shortage of that out there. That is for damn sure. All right. Let's start off with nothing really crazy this week. Oy vey. Let's see. Well, we'll just go down what I got for the list here. Should I? Shall I? Shall we? Shall you? Where are my pages? Well, I am going to do the sugar. Oh, sugar. Oh, honey, honey. Christian Serrano. This guy. Christian. Good to see you, buddy. Hey. Second RPG you ever played. And what if it is the same as the first? Like Christian would be like, Savage Worlds, dude. That's all I've played ever. I'm just kidding. Come on, Christian. Don't let me down. Okay, so D20 Modern. Wow, would not have seen that coming. Ooh. Did you check out the new version of D20 Modern that one shop is coming out with Owen Casey Stevens? I think is in there, right? Jeff Grubb. I think Jeff Grubb's in there for sure. I don't think Owen is. It's that new, and then they're doing all the IPs like Escape from New York and a bunch of other ones. Dude, Kickstarter is a mess. It's such like it just drives me crazy. I had a filter on my in my email box for Gmail because I just got so much Kickstarter garbage that just had nothing. Like okay, great, it's another update. Yes, you hit another funding goal. Damn, like I don't need 20 emails a day. And then what happened was because I had that filter, I was starting to miss like, hey, fill out your pledge info, and I'm like, oh shit. Um, Now I have it going to an email address that's only for personal email, so it's not mixed in with everything, and I don't miss anything. But it's a good point, Jason. He's spending so much time retracing my steps and pledges, searching inbox, drive through. Same thing, man. I go nuts. Like, oh boy, I better check on that thing because I don't want to miss. The one complaint some of those folks have that are running Kickstarters is nobody responds in a timely fashion with their address to get the stuff shipped. Well, it's like, dudes, Kids on Bike, I was getting like 2 emails a freaking day from those guys. Backers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're already in, man. Like, we're already there. I don't know how many changed their pledge after the fact. I wish that was like a statistic that those Kickstarter, okay, I'm just going to go off on this a little bit, is like, yeah, so many Kickstarter projects too. It's fatiguing. It's overwhelmed for sure. Like, okay, let's do an analysis here. If the statistics say if you keep throwing out these updates, then a majority of your backers, percentage-wise, will increase their pledge. I don't think that's true. I think you and I get on there, we pick one, and that's it. Like, that's the one I want. I want the full Monty, $250 box set suede with all the chips and cards and all this stuff. And that's it. Like, I can't go up from there because I'm at the top. Otherwise, I pay $1,000 to have Christian Serrano visit my house and run a Savage Worlds game, or Clinton or Jody Black, right? Or Shane, right? But I'm not going to go for that. No, won't, no can do. And so, like, what the hell? So if it's not, do a digest at the end of the week. Hey, here's what's happened in the last week. We've surpassed 3 funding goals, blah, 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 blah. I don't need a freaking every 3-hour commentary. It's dry. It drives me absolutely bonkers. And it's hard not to, like, okay, maybe I set a date when it's funded and then switch my email filter and turn it off. So that way, any emails after the fact, I can get an update on delays. Because I'll tell you what, after it's funded, it's like, hey, yay, we're funded. We're going to charge your credit card. And here are the next steps. We're going to go dark for a whole 12 months and not tell you anything because we're going to be so behind with what we're doing. And then we're going to ask you for your address and then tell you that there's a bunch of shipping problems. And then we're going to have to charge your card for more for shipping because it's changed in the last 18 months. And then 2 years later, they're going to ask you for your address to have it sent. Like, it's just, come on. Like, are some of these folks on the other end of Kickstarters sometimes? There's my rant for the day. Be a positive force in the RPG hobby. Arrogant, you're on top of it, buddy. It's nuts, man. It's just way too much. And what choice do you have but to fill your now? Smart, wiser people, I won't say smarter, but wiser people might say, well, I'm just going to put a filter on Kickstarter, but that's what I did. And it wasn't in my inbox, so it was completely out of sight, out of mind. And I would have to go into a particular label on Gmail to go through. And then if you're back in 2 or 3, man, it's madness. Just saying. It's 2 years later, right? It's like, hello. Well, we want to ship. Like, it's crazy that it's so ironic to me. It's like, hey, we're going to flood your inbox through our 130-day campaign. 30 days. And we're going to send you like 3 emails a day. So we're going to send you 90 emails for the first 30 days until it's funded. And then after that, we'll give you an update every, I'm sure it'd be funny to track that. Like how it just like, whoop, like ski slow, like hockey stick increase. And then it just kind of comes down slower and slower and slower. And then you never hear from them for like, it just goes beep, flat lines. And then when they're trying to get it out, it's like, oh, we're having shipping problems. Oh, hey, Matt Colville, we got like 2 pages that didn't print, and now we need stickers. And what do you want to do? And this is what we're doing, and we're running around crazy. And then it's like all of a sudden it goes whoop back up again because they've got to fill you in on all the crap that's going on. It's just nuts. Anyways. Welcome to How to Rant. Oh, hey, I'm Sean Kelly, and this is my masterclass. Lucas, shipping. I just got my Cyborg in the mail. Understand it's not their fault. I got 2 add-ins. Yeah, the delivery dates are hilarious. I'm always adding 6 months to it for sure. Like they just, hey, let's predict this. Really? Unless you got the stuff baked. Like if you got it all the way baked, I don't know. Then maybe, but yeah, it's so kooky. I know Free League has gotten a lot of hits for their shipping. I know there was a lot of discussion on the Discord about it. I don't know. Like, yeah. I mean, here's my take. If you order the product from a website, like Brett and I did originally, and it's completely botched, like, oh, I had somebody take like a utility knife across my Alien book, right? Like, hey, this is how it arrived, man. Stuff like that annoys me. But if it's like a Kickstarter that just gets delayed and then the shipping is a debacle or the fulfillment, like, why is that like, I know it's a big deal because people are idly by anticipating that arrival. But it's not like you've had it for the last year or 8 months. Like, I don't know. The angst somebody had was just like, Hulk smash. And I'm like, man, there's bigger shit in the world that's like a disaster than not getting your Kickstarter, like when they tell you. Because what Kickstarter is actually on time? Free League shipping is the worst. Don't get me started on Fun Again logistics. What a shit show. And I never had a problem with Fun Again that I know of. Well, and would I know? I don't know. Hey, we're going to ship your stuff. Okay. It arrives. Surprise! Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with Harrigan. Once I back, pretty much forget about them. I don't read their emails, so it's always a surprise. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, how many? Like, it's just, I don't know. Perspective. It's all perspective. You feel the way you want to feel. I don't want to dismiss your feelings, but I don't know. Sorry, we digress. I was going to go into this stuff and then we got kickstarted. I got kickstarted. Here's another Kickstarter thing. Oh, here we go. Jason's going to keep me going. Here's another Kickstarter thing that makes me feel stupid. Stretch goals and credits and the fear that I've paid for pledges twice. Kevin Keneally. What's up, buddy? Kevin, did you? Oh, you're going to the kiddo. Hey, I don't think you gained entry here properly. You have to tell us what your second RPG you ever played was, and you have to do it before you have to take the kids to the basketball game. You just can't enter and not, provide the password. Kevin says, I was super excited about Dragon Maid, but I didn't pick up on the project timeline of basically 2 years out. Excitement, cool. Well, here's the thing. So for okay, so Doug has recently joined our VC Gaming. Doug, aka Doug, joined our Discord. Doug was the guy. So some of us that were at Gamehole Con met Doug. He was manning the Free League booth. Very nice guy, generous guy, and he must be reading our posts on there about Free League's fulfillment and just be like, ooh, you know. Where was I going to go with this? Oh, one of the things that going back to Kevin and the timeline for Dragonbane is I said, man, I don't know how you guys are kicking all this stuff out. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, they just announced something what I'll touch on. And Tomas, he's like, I'm worried about him getting burned out. He's just a machine cranking out all this stuff. Now, he's obviously not the only one doing all the work, but it doesn't matter if you're in charge of the company. And that's so going to timelines. That's just the context is like, dude, like pace yourself and then Doug alludes to 2023 announcements coming and what that'll look like. And, they got a thing. They got what, Blade Runner still going. They got Dragonbane. They're just getting that Ireland and Britain basin is for the most part, I think, fulfilled. Some of you guys might be still missing it, but Cimarron 5e, right? I think, is that print out now? Right? Because we always get hey, it's been released in PDF, but the print's still coming. And there's just a lot of stuff that they got going on. Kevin says D20 Star Wars. D20 Star Wars. Wow. Okay, sweet, man. Yeah. That's right. Troll under the bridge. All right. Doug sold me on the Alien book. The starter set's pretty good too, Victor. Like, I think I might have mentioned this before. Alex Kammer, that's what he uses for the rule book, is the thing in the starter set. Because I think it has everything you need. The thick, hardcore rule book versus the starter set. Obviously, the rule book's got a lot more info, but I don't think you need all that to run the game, honestly. All right. William Thorpe, Slide in the Weeds. No, you have to have played. Because Harrigan was saying, I had my players roll up a bunch of characters, but we never played. So no, that doesn't count. I don't think. So skip that one. Skip the one where you created a bunch of characters and never played. It's the one you got to the table, the second one. Yeah, good choice, Victor. Well, plus, with the starter sets, if you get the dice pre-gens and adventure, not a bad deal, right? All right. Let's talk about Kickstarters. It's like game stores on my list of, hey, let's give Sean a couple drinks at a convention and let's get him a topic to talk about. I don't have a lot of complaints. I haven't had a lot of crappy Kickstarters go bad. Let's do where am I? I don't even know where I am. Let's, I guess, do this. We'll figure this out. All right. Thanks to our friends at EN World. Whether they think I'm a friend or not is, who knows? But some updates on the news digest for the week of November 11th. D&D's got some stuff coming out called Dragonlance. They got a movie that's been delayed. We already touched on that. Paizo released an overview of Starfinder Interstellar Species, just so you know. And then Monsters and Magic of Lankmar. So this one, Goodman Games announced the release date of February 2023. Anybody kick in on this? It was kickstarted. Actually, reframe. Kickstarter is not always crowdfunding. It's not the Kleenex of crowdfunding. Indiegogo is what they used. raising $3,300 from only 199 backers. 199 backers. Like, that's... I think Brett's Streets of Avalon might have had more. I don't even know. Like, that seems really low. I bet you they would have got at least twice if they would have went Kickstarter. I mean, say what you want to about Indiegogo and Kickstarter. That just seems really, really low. The 24-page book will retail for $11.99 when it hits the store shelves in February, with backers of the Indiegogo campaign receiving theirs between December and January. So, this is from the ICV2 website. Put it down here. I couldn't even actually find the announcement from Goodman Games, but I have to imagine it might have come from the campaign itself. But you're talking 5e, 20 new monsters, 15 new spells, and magical items. They're inspired by the stories of Fafard and the Grey Mouser from renowned author Fritz Leiber. And they cooperated with the Fritz Leiber estate, of course, because they did DCC Lankmar. So I would imagine it was a pretty easy sell. So Michael Curtis involved with that. And I know Michael, he's a good guy, so he's done tons of work for Goodman Games. And I think he's a huge Leiber fan, if I'm not mistaken. And if he isn't now, he probably is. If he wasn't before, he is now. All right. Did I see? Here, who's morning, buddy? Who's second RPG you have ever played? Why is my thing didn't scroll? That's weird. I'm way behind here. Car, just catching up. Sorry. It's just a matter of timing. Just ended up playing something else before the carrot got to the table. That makes my answer D20 Star Wars, William. The short answer, D20 Star Wars, William says. There's two D20 Star Warses. Orcus Dorcas says there's a lot of DCC fans who are anti-5e. There was a bit of a guff on this. Really, which is unfortunate because the DCC crowd, to me, seems so inclusive and inviting. That is so contrary. I think that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate to hear. They can have a preference for DCC all they want. It's such a diametric opposition there in that thinking to me. Like, I don't know. Everybody's fans of their own stuff. Totally get it. Obviously acceptable, but I don't know. If it's a huge gruff, then that's a problem, I think. Cyberpunk book. I'm talking about Cyborg, Victor. Yeah, it's interesting to see Lankmar available across 3 systems. Yeah. You got your 5e in my Lankmar. Ew. Well, hey, shocker, it was, made for D&D before it was DCC, right? AD&D had Lankmar first, right? It wasn't a big, thick resource book, but oh, that's right, Savage Worlds. That's right. Is that right, Victor? I did not know that. Well, the DCC inside cover is a picture of 4E being sacrificed to an altar to DCC. Yeah, that sours it a little bit for me. Yeah, Harrigan, that's right. There was a box. Lighthearted ribbing. No, the company isn't 5e. They can't be. They've published and converted all the old stuff to 5e. So I don't think the company is. Don't get me wrong. I know Joseph wouldn't have that type. It would be unfortunate to put that artwork in there, though. Like, hey, I got an idea. Let's put 4th edition in the artwork, sacrificing it to DCC because it's so much better. It's just like, come on, right? All right. Yeah, that's the Lankmar stuff. What else do I got here? Not this. That's like the digest. Coriolis. Any Coriolis fans? Another free league title that they're gonna have to crank out. Like, dudes, like I hope you got enough juice in the tank to get all these through. This isn't even gonna be kickstarted. The latest edition for Coriolis. And part 3 of the Mercy of the Icons. Final book brings out a ton of new content for players to dive into. This Wake of the Icons adds a thrilling conclusion to the sci-fi RPG's storyline. Third book will sell on its own for 40 bones US, with a free PDF copy for those who like to play digitally, as well as a bundle that's going about 46 that will include extra content. You can pre-order either one right now, as this will be released in Q1 2023. The heavy aroma of incense and sugared dates spread from the market square on the Coriolis space station. At first glance, nothing seems out of place. Peddlers are loudly pushing their wares along the promenade. Pilgrims flock in prayer before icon statues in the station's temples. And courtesans offer candid rose petals to blissful clients under Alkemar's space dome. But the calm is deceptive. A veiled emissary, representative of powerful life forms residing in the depths of the gas giant Xene, has arrived at the station with strange tidings. Rumors are spreading about displays of terrifying mystical powers and about star systems that are isolating in fear of what's to come. The Council of Factions, always so outspoken, has gone dead silent. The Third Horizon is entering a new era, still unknown, shrouded in darkness. Will the future be revealed by the light of the icons, or by the roaring firestorms of war? Started reading a little bit of the Coriolis, a lot of info. Not sure it's still my thing. I don't know. I haven't played it. Maybe we need to change that, Christian. Serrano. All right. Knights of Arabia. Space. What else here? What do we got here? What else we got here? This isn't really RPG, but whatever. The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Plot, cast, release date, and everything else we know. So for Lord of the Rings fans, it's getting a new animated prequel movie about the origins of Helm's Deep, titled The War of the Rohirrim. Here's what we know. And now you know too. Just read the article. Some people will be just crazy ecstatic. Brian Cox be the role of Helm Hammerhand. That's it. Sean Dooley, Lawrence Ubong Williams. Gaia Wise. Interesting. I have not watched. Has everybody? I don't know. I haven't watched all the Rings of Power. Hell, I'm behind on Andor. Yeah. And I haven't watched all the Game of Thrones, but I'm not also an HBO Max person. Has everybody watched Or Ball Kickstarter? I'll double check on that. It's not some Harnmaster like thing, is it, Hoos? What is this? Oh boy. Riffs. 18 days to go. I don't know if this is in the Kickstarter of crowdfunding stuff that I get. Riffs Titan Robotics is out and on the Kickstarters right now. You Riffs fanatics. $44,000 a $25,000 goal. Never played Riffs. This guy's name is Sean Owen Roberson. He is the new creative director and business partner at Palladium Books. There you go. $20 will get you like the digital stuff. So you get the PDF and the Savage Riffs rules conversion for Titan Robotics. $35 will get you a soft cover basic print. You get the Titan Robotics PDF, Savage Riffs rules conversion for Titan Robotics digital PDF, and then you will get the Titan Robotics soft cover. What is Riffs? What is Riffs indeed? Anybody get in on this? Recruited after his work on Savage Riffs. Oh, they stole him? They stole Sean. It says Sean ran some great campaigns for Savage Riffs. I'm confident that he will do well with that one too. Yeah. I think it's easier to say, what isn't Riffs? Roger says. Oh, he still works on both, Christian says. Well, there's that. I'm not a Riffs guy, and I never played Palladium, which is funny because my buddy Jimmy, some of you might have had me mention Jimmy, that he's big on Riffs. But he's never said, hey, I'm going to run Riffs. And then, we're part of the doc group, so he's also a big Shadowrun guy. So, anyways, I don't know what to tell you. Let me see if I added a link to this thing. No. So, crowdfunding news. Should we do crowdfunding news? We'll mix it up. I think I print news later. We'll do crowdfunding news. We'll go through that. Eddie N World, Monty Python's Kickstarter is at $1 million. $1.6 million. Good for them. 827% pledged. That's a lot of Holy Grail. And Life of Brian one-liners. They had the coconuts. I don't know if you guys have seen it. They're releasing the coconuts as like a dice holder, I think. It's 1.6 million. They still have 6 days to go. Could it hit 1.75? I don't know. Who's here back this? Don't hide. Whoops, and I'm not even showing you. Don't hide. Who's back this? Come on now. Don't lie. Would you play this? If it was at a convention, and you were like, you know, I don't have this, but I'm a Monty Python. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm going to play it. Play it. Somebody's running it. I don't see a game in MP. I don't know. Maybe they tie into like vernacular into it. Like, hey, if you do some crazy English quip or you reference some part of the movie or Monty Python lore or something, then you get boons. Like, I can just see it being this. Harrigan did not back. That is a surprise. No, I'm just kidding, buddy. I'd play, but didn't back. Is it meant to be played? I don't even know. I don't know. I think you're right, Wayne. I think part of it is just setting it on the coffee table. Harrigan says, I love Monty Python, but it's like a personal relationship, and the Python players didn't write this. Right. Can you imagine one of the Monty Python guys running this game? Yeah, there you go. Paranoia, Perfect Edition. So we brought this up before. And when I did bring it up, it was like not listed. And everybody was like, EN World likes to list it in the final days. So they got 2 weeks to go as of this recording. It ends Sunday, November 27th. Core rulebook, it's in pounds. And it's fully backed, right, and funded. So there you go. Paranoia, Perfect Edition. How many is there for Paranoia? 4? Is this like the 4th? Can't remember. I don't know. Next one, Plants Nowhere to be Found. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk it? System neutral source book. 61 Aussie dollars. 112 pages of description, spells, notes, illustrations, and photos about plants. Hello. Book is meant to inspire odd fauna. Odd fauna. Counters. Fauna. Hello, fauna. Counters during your gaming night. Take ideas from it to blend into your world. Will it help me identify some of the weeds in my garden is the question. Which Fated Souls 2E from Angry Hamster Publishing. The system is Afterlife Wandering Souls. 40 euros. Funded. In this RPG, you play a fated, an individual that sold their soul to a demon for powers. In a world that has elements of Sabrina, Supernatural, and Vampire the Masquerade. Remember, folks, whenever you're comparing your RPG, try to point out points of reference. There you go. It says fauna, Christian. It says fauna. It does say fauna. I didn't misread that. This book is meant to inspire odd fauna encounters. I don't know. Mutants and Masterminds. Reprint extravaganza. It's going to end Tuesday, November 22nd. Most popular pledge is 100 bones. Shipping and handling for the PDF print versions is the 6th printing of the Deluxe Heroes Handbook, Gadget Guides, and Power Profiles. So we'll get to it. At the end of this, there's a lot of comments on how this thing was struggling. It's not funded yet. Now, could be if I hit refresh, but doubtful. Like they had a $3,000, $2,000 gap to getting this funded. You got 1 week to go. Can it get there? So there's a lot of, we'll just go down there. Right? Here's a lot of the comments. Can't help but feel like Eminem is in a bad place. The only releases that they managed to publish are PDF compilations that they crowdfund piecemeal to begin with, then crowdfunding reprints for their core game. Doesn't fill me with confidence. Wow, Eminem struggling to meet their goal. That's surprising, like jaw-droppingly surprising. I wonder if other less complicated superhero games are taking their spot. Sentinel Comics, Masks, Claim the Sky, Icons, Bash, City of Mist. They seem to have some traction. They tried to like M&M in the various editions, but didn't want to deal with huge lists of feats, and it never seemed to get substantially better. They say somewhere in here, somebody's like, I think they're struggling, and then they said they have mentioned in the Kickstarter as an update that the company is struggling. So I didn't verify that, but they used to be one of my favorite gaming companies: Freeport, Black Company, Thieves World, True 20. They got all their eggs in the Age, right? If you like Age. But then they also have license, right? They got the Expanse, Dragon Age, right? So, yeah, here it is. According to the campaign, a lot of supply chain and cash shortage issues, which certainly can turn into a dangerous spiral for a company. And then this one kind of stuck out for me. I think all the big M&M 3E fans probably own all these books. Doesn't bode well for enticing new players, though. Right? So, having said that, they have a bundle on drive-thru. If you're interested. Apparently, at one point in time, this bundle was like $25. Now they bumped it up to $75, but the retail, if you were to buy all these individually, come to like $500. I've never played Mutants and Masterminds, but it was kind of a staple back in the day. Like I couldn't walk into like an RPG shop and not see some Mutant and Mastermind stuff. And you use the True 20 system, right? Which I had at one point. I had released it because I didn't get it to the table, which was based off of Blue Rose, I think, right? Zero therapy. Zero therapy. That's what I need. Zero therapy. Zero theory. Hey, man or woman. Second RPG you ever played is the cost of entry today. Blue Rose. There we go. Christian Mint. Yeah. Got an M&M back in the day because it's virtually the only superheroes RPG in town for a good number of years. Yeah, I never got into supers either. Coos. I played one game of Champions at Gen Con 1 year, and it was the one Gen Con I've ever, like, it was the first Gen Con I ever went and actually played games. Because I had gone to Gen Con before, and I'm like, I don't know how to register. Like, I was just a fish out of water, and I would just roam around, go to the exhibit hall and watch people. And my first year that I played a game, I played in Spycraft 2.0, I think, was out. And Alex, I think, ran it. Alex from, at the time, AEG, who was one of the writers. It was fun. And then I played in a Heroes game, which was interesting. Like, I don't remember a lot of it, but it was like, for a one shot, if you don't know the hero system, it can be a little. That's the only thing I can remember was my first impression. But live for supers, not M&M. Ty, does Index Card RPG put out a supers? Fate? Just wondering. Champions is crunchy. I'd recommend old Phaser Rip. Oh, I guess I have played Marvel. But it was, Kissastrophe. So you played the rock band Kiss. But understanding the chart was kind of like the thing to do, right? Always wish your wild cards license would be released for someone else to pick up. Peg, cough, cough, hee hee. Vigilante City for ICRPG. Oh, wow, look at that. I guess it does. Let's see. So, yeah, crowdfunding. But going back up to complete that, where we are, Shipwrecks of the Astral Sea, the Abbey Oak, 5e. Guess what, folks? It's funded. Yeah. An asteroid near your Spelljammer catches your eye. I am really interested to know how many people are playing Spelljammer, just for shits and giggles, because that's what I live for, shits and giggles. I don't know. It's got to be just a. Is it a success? Would we even know? I don't know. Vermilion from White Witch Games. Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, or Suede. Suede. All I could think of is the 70s rock group. Suede. Whenever I hear it. Keith Baker's running an AP mashup, Eberron with Spelljammer. No. I'm not going to watch it. Can't. No. No, Keith. Just say no, Keith. Campaign setting, £30 for the PDF and POD versions of the book, token cards, GM screen, and more. They do have a jumpstart guide at drive-thru, just so you know. So this is a high fantasy and weird west using Suede. This is a world that's moved on. The setting reads like the Dark Tower. The setting reads like the Dark Tower series or the Sword of Shannara series. You're in a world that failed during its industrial age as magic and fantasy arose. Now it's back around to a near western level as you adventure, hunt bounties, gamble, and everything else you would in a world of elves and outlaws. If you're interested, check out the Jumpstart. It's funded. Gutter Province. Cyberg. Metal. Cyberpunk. Christian Eichhorn. Source book, £16. Gives you some more for your Cyborg campaign. City of Psy awaits with its NPCs, locations, and adventures all shared in the zine. You get 2 classes to include the Broke CEO. Has got to be a trip, man. Pavunks. And 48 pages of content to spring on your gaming table. Don't say it. It's supposed to be punks. Well, then write it with a U and a V. Come on. It's funded. That's it. That's all the ones that are featured this week, kids. And one of them we had spoke about before. So, yeah. There you go. For that. Crowdfunding. Let's see. I totally have this all planned out. I don't know if we haven't done that. Talked about that. Don't think we need to talk about that. That was from last week. So I think the only thing that we haven't really touched on is the print news. Brought to you by the friends at EN World. Spelljammer is warming shelves at all the locales I visit. Michael says, when I asked about it, store owner mentioned the negative press around it. Oh, well, we could get into that, but I don't really want to. But I can tell you this, that Wizards did announce that they are going to run every single component of at least Spelljammer for sure. I don't know. Imagine the rest of their work through a culture committee. I think that's what it's called. and they will have impact on the content that goes into the product, where I believe previously it was like the product manager oversaw that. So now it's like there's a big press release. I didn't bring it up just because it was just another, Wizards of the Coast, not just another, because I think it's important, but, I did want to talk about 5th edition all day. And I'm definitely not a Spelljammer guy. For sure. I didn't see that. Probably a good thing. I can pull it up quick for sure. I mean, let's do that, I guess, for the most part. Where would I find it? Let me see. I think it's relatively quick on EN World. Here we go. So Chris Perkins wrote a blog entry about how the company's processes have been changed to improve the way the D&D studio deals with harmful content and inclusivity. This allows recent issues with racist content in Spelljammer, Adventures in Space, and involves working with external cultural consultants. That's what I meant to say. External cultural consultants. Noting the external piece, which is interesting, right? That is definitely intended for sure. They didn't do it in-house. I mean, you can't see your blind spots if it's coming from you, right? Like, I think that would be the deal. And if you're not familiar with what it's all about, you can do your research. I think I talked about it. It's weeks ago, at least, for sure. Maybe even a couple months. Where one of the races in the Spelljammer book definitely got the attention of a lot of people online. And they're like, how could this get through? And why aren't they like just another WotC screw up? So if you want to read more about it, head over to the D&D Beyond blog, where Chris talks about what that looks like. Essentially, I talk about how D&D Studio, in the D&D Studio, they're changing their review process following the problematic content that appeared in Spelljammer Adventures in Space. So there you go. Reprints, moving forward. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's news for sure. And I think it's important news, so I probably am doing it injustice by not letting people know about it. But I certainly don't want to dwell on it for an hour. Going back to print news, some of the releases that are coming out, which will probably had been kickstarted anyway, but yeah, Something Is Wrong with Chickens, Buy More Blueberries, $5. It's an RPG that makes this weekly column a rough gem that sometimes gets polished to a high shine. Each chicken began manifesting the traits of distant cosmic entities and tentacles with a cluster cluck. 6 chicken types, from chicken to turkey to the enigmatic nugget, and 6 eldritch traits. Random tables. Crucially, this also includes a rollable table of puns. Something's wrong with the chickens. Victor says, you can't see your own blind spots, but you can also ignore what an external consultant says if you don't like it either. We'll have to see how it plays out in WotC's case. That is true. That's true. I don't know. I have my thoughts. Dragon's Horde. Dragon's 5th edition. Heyo. This is by Legendary Games. Has magical items like the Blast Helmet and Sapling Rod. New spells such as Abundant Ammunition. Oops, I should probably go here. This is what it looks like. The Dragon's Horde. Issues 22 and 23. The Game Master's Book of Legendary Dragons by Macmillan Publishing. It's for 5th edition, $30. 24 dragons, each of which comes with a complete backstory, history, motivations, lair actions, legendary combat actions, and more. Because D&D doesn't have dragons in it. Unless you play Horde of the Dragon Queen, right? Maybe. Just kidding. Just kidding. Relax. Just kidding. Power Rangers, Adventures in Angel Grove by Renegade Game Studios for $45. Go Power Rangers. 4-part adventure for 4 to 7 characters. 7 characters. Wow. Level 1 through 5. That answers one question. It's a level system, huh? Rita Repulsa's forces are attacking Angel Grove as always, but this time people are missing from all over the city. Zords are on the fritz, and it seems like even Rita doesn't know what's going wrong. I don't know. I was never into Power Rangers. I think that was like a generation a little bit behind me. There you go, Power Rangers. Christian says, Victor, that sounds like most leadership I've worked under. Yo, hey-o. BK Dan, then again, if no NDA was done, the external could come out and do a tell-all. Oh, yeah. They got that button up. I play Spelljammer. You could play Shell. Play WAP Shell? Rap Shell of ICRPG? Well, right. Orcus Dorcas. Cultural flub was just half of this SJ issue. The books were lacking in all aspects, and that needs to be focused upon also. Not a lot of faith in their Dragonlance offering. Yeah. It is Dragonlance. Let's talk about that just for a second. You just got me going now. It's one of the things that I grew up enjoying quite a bit that I'm probably the least interested in when it's coming out for D&D. Like Eberron. And I got into Eberron. I don't know if it was late necessarily, but it's not like, I mean, we ran a few adventures in Eberron. But I was more excited about that coming out for 5th edition than I was Dragonlance. I think it's because like some of the novels just didn't age well for me. No interest in buying any of the Dragonlance stuff coming out. Nope. I had all the modules. I think I might have given them all to Brett. I don't know if I kept the Dragonlance modules. In Rifts, you could play a dragon. BK Dan, I could just imagine you're like soft voice. You could play a dragon in Rifts. Orcus is seeing that too. I guess the design seemed rough around the edges in several aspects. Even I'm not overly excited for Dragonlance, yeah. You know who's excited that I think is, maybe? Was it you? No, you're not Dano. Dano from Twitter. He's a big Dragonlance guy. He's been posting Dragonlance like 3 times a day. Artwork and all that stuff. Moving on to the print stuff. Squeaks in the Deep. Who's D&D lore? Meh. It's not Harn. That's for sure. Squeaks in the Deep. Onyx Path Publishing for Pugmire. 50 bones. Rats and mice live in the margins of the empires of dogs and cats with homes that connect to the underneath. Some highlights include 2 new species, rats and mice, 6 rodent callings, sonic rules, information on the underneath, new enemies, and an adventure featuring the underneath. It speaks softly when I carry a large D20. That's all right, man. It's all right. Fortal's Adventure Journal. Enter the Dome Asile and the Million Islands of Doom. A Million Islands of Doom? What? That's crazy. There you go. All Exalted Funeral stuff. I mean, what is a week without any Exalted Funeral releases, right? Fortal's Adventure Journal is a travelogue of the sorcerer emeritus Salvador Moss's time spent barge hopping across the humpback sky in search of a comprehensive understanding of the Fortal. Enter the Dome Asile, a dungeon that takes place in a giant rotting skull. Of course. Duh. The million islands of Doom. Somewhere far, far away from the comfort of your own home, there's a stretch of sea so vast it holds the million islands of Doom. Each region divided into their dooms. That is a lot then. Like you're dividing a million islands into their own regions. Apocalyptic events that are threatening the very existence of not only the islands but the world itself. What? It features, wait a minute, hold on a second. Features 36 explorable hexes. How do you fit a million islands of Doom into 36 explorable hexes? I don't know. Just that alone, it intrigues me. I have to understand this math. The Child Thieves module S1 by Necrotic Gnome. The Necrotic Gnome. Old School Essentials. Softcore Adventure. Softcore Adventure. Softcover Adventure, you dirty pervs. $12 retail. 3rd to 5th level adventure. A piper returns to the poorest district of the city using his magic flute each year to rid the people of a plague of rats. Sounds familiar. Every year since the rats have come again, so has the piper, and his price goes up. The money of the poor has not. This year they could not pay. The piper left angry, and now the children are gone. Large rat-like tracks were found in the district leading from the homes of the missing children to the storm drains. Though the people have little to offer the PCs, if the PCs don't rescue the children, no one will. Well, yeah, I love children to get that one, and that's, probably not me, so... I kid. To be blunt, it was $20 effort wrapped in a $70 price tag for Orcus Dorcas. Check out Orcus Dorcas's reviews on YouTube. Goes over a lot of this stuff. Giant skull, that's metal. I'm sure, Lucas, that you said giant skull, that's metal. Doom the Islands of Doom. Don't bother trying to understand, Sean. It's new math. That's good. That Fandango math. Oh my. That's by Appendix N, not Necrotic Gnome? What are you talking about, Orcus Dorcas? The Child Thieves? It says Necrotic Gnome on it. I do not make that up, sir. That is, I think, all I have for this week, ending November 11th, 2022. Let me make sure I did not miss anything. Yes or con? Let's do this. Who's going? Who's not going? If you're not going, why? Why? What? Why? Let's go through the events. Running and playing, Hoos. Thanks, buddy. Schedule of events. I'm going to pull these up. Rule set by rule set. This is what we got so far. So $10 gets you the whole weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like 24 hours. The variety of games always astounds me. It's going to be run on, it's all virtual. I'm going to give half the proceeds at least to charity, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So we've got Monster of the Week, Harnmaster by the very own Hoos, 5e and Brant Colonia supplement. I think that might be Jared Rasher. Savage Pathfinder, Conan 2D20. That's probably Gabe, I think. Warp Star. Damn you, Wayne, and your French. Flail? Whatever. By Wayne. I gotta get these 40. Cortex Plus. That might be Jared. I don't remember. He did one of those ones. Troika, Lady Blackbird, Age of Sigmar, Against the Dark Master, Cypher System, Savage Worlds, Cortex Prime, Index Card RPG with Vigilante City, and Breakers. That is all fantastic. Cortex is Mirko, and that Kevin's the one, yeah, for Against the Dark Master. Warp Star is Mirko, yeah. Can you throw a link in the chat? For sure, man. Of course. I don't know why I didn't think of that right away. And I can only say that if you have shown up for this and you appreciate my conversation and kind of outlook on things, then you will probably appreciate the folks that are running the games and playing the games. It's I don't want to say we're an echo chamber, but there's a lot of good people, I will say, that are running these games and playing in them. So the first one we did in January, great success. People loved it. They're just like, great. We're going to have, I think I scheduled a happy hour late Friday night and Saturday night from like 10 to midnight. Now, for some, 10 o'clock is 8 p.m. So the West Coasters, that's not that late. And they're probably right in the middle of a game. Like some of them will be starting a game at like 7 or 8 o'clock. It'll go for 4 hours. I just didn't want to have a happy hour like 2 in the morning Central Time, 3 in the morning Eastern Time. So it's going to be a couple hours, and hopefully we'll have some people, and we got open room where people can hang out between games and maybe talk to each other and meet each other. We did that last year. Man, I think at one point we had 12 or 15 people in the room just kind of like talking, which was great. Some of us got to know what the others look like behind their Discord handles and their chat handles and stuff. So, but a lot of different games. And I'm not closing event submission, but if you put your event submission in sooner, people can add those and make sure they scope out your game and go, yes. And it prevents kind of moving and shuffling, which I think we're going to get this year more so than last year, because I'm just not going to close it until Friday of the con. But if you submit it closer to the convention date, which is going to be January 20th, it's Friday, it's going to kick off, then goes through Sunday, January 22nd. The closer you submit that to that date, the less likely you'll have somebody fill it, right? And then it'll be pickup games, just so you know, which we'll have. We got a paint room too. You can just kind of turn on your camera, sit in a paint room, paint minis if you want. That's open. So the kind of happy hour social thing, the social and the paint room, you can add to your schedule, and you can double book. But if you pick an RPG event, you cannot double book. So if you're like, man, I want this game and that game, and if they're at the same time, you will not be able to double book, just so you know. Fleo, thank you, Wayne. So I would love to see you guys there if you haven't been there before. Some of you have. Thank you for continuing to go and support and run games. I will run games, and I will probably play. I don't know if I'll play, but I'll run. Something floating in my brain I've always mentioned is maybe some feng shui, but I would probably have to run it on Roll20 because I think they actually have feng shui as a system. So rather than screw around with Foundry to try to get some things to work. And I think with the one shot, it might just come in handy because, I don't know, that, or I may just run a game, maybe Alien, Blade Runner. I don't know. There's so many good ones. And then Mr. Salzwedel asked if I would have shirts of BSRCon 2 Electric Boogaloo. And of course, I will get shirts, and I'll get them made up. I'll put that on my priority list to get those squared away so people can get them before the con in January. So 4-hour happy hour. Social. So here's the deal. It is not publicly listed on the Tabletop Events site, which Tabletop Events is the platform that I use to coordinate all this. Some conventions you've gone to, you've probably used this platform. You can, when you run a convention, you can list it in the public directory, or you can keep it out of that. If you list it in the public directory, well, then anybody can see it and attend, which is great and fine. I'm going to keep it private up until we see what the numbers look like. If there's a low percentage of players registering for games, that I might open up to the public. I only put this out there because if you know of good communities that would be an asset to the con, then go ahead and post it in those communities. I'm not spreading the word is not a big deal. It's always, diversity and inclusion is always an interesting one, because you want to be diverse and you want to be inclusive to the right people, which is it's a stipulation which doesn't make sense to me. But I think we can all agree we don't want complete jackwagons attending the convention and ruin the fun for everybody. So I don't know if it's an echo chamber, sue me, but if they've got, similar philosophies of life and gaming and they want to partake and you think that it's a good community that you're a part of, that's not this one, then by all means, let folks know, go ahead. That's what I have to say about that. No jackwagons on my social stuffs. Just say no to jackwagons. No nipple clingers. Murder Hobo. Hey, what's this? You got in here. Murder Hobo, what's the second RPG you ever played? I don't know if you answered that question. Jackwagons. Yeah. I have some other ones, but Jackwagon seems to be the last, I don't know, derogative. So, yeah. So good communities. And the thing is that you could have communities that play every type of game, and there are going to be bad actors and there are going to be good ones. And so sometimes those communities, how do I put this? You can be part of a community even though the game might have a reputation for being bad, but they're still good people. So I don't know. I don't want to get into all that crap, but you know what I'm talking about. What else? Oh. I don't know if I can do some show and tell. I'm not really prepared, but this one arrived. This thing is a freaking beast, man. Has anybody gotten any Nord Games products? This is my first one, I think. Pretty impressed. Nord Games. This is the one I didn't get the PDF for. This cost me $40 plus shipping. I think I haven't used it yet, but I think its total production value is right there. It's shiny cover. It's thick. This thing's like 360 pages, man. So you're talking about almost the size of the first Pathfinder rulebook, I think. Like that's what it reminds me of. And the pages inside are similar in makeup to what you would find in your player's handbook of 5e. Like that's the page type gloss. I mean, it's not super glossy, but it's got a nice finish to it. So Dangerous Destinations. So this thing, I'll read the back of it, will help you create all manner of adventuring locations to populate the worlds in which you play, be they existing settings or your very own. Inside, you'll find easy-to-use chapters to flesh out your destinations, its environment, the danger that lurks there, as well as well as antagonist profiles and a wide variety of other useful tables. For GMs in a hurry, 60 fully realized pre-generated destinations, each with their own unique artwork and full-color map, are ready to be slotted into any game world in seconds. With the help of this book, realize places that have been locked within your imagination. So I picked this up because I'm like, sometimes I get the creative lock. It might have been even when this was being Kickstarter. I was might have been getting into Forbidden Lands and thinking of like things to put in front of the players. Um, Sometimes they can become cliche, oh, we've seen this one. But I thought if I can get a system agnostic resource like this or the Tome of Adventure Design, this is what it kind of reminds me of, then why not? And this thing is a freaking beast, man. There is a common layout with some of the things. I don't think that's a bad thing. But so, part 3, it says, and I apologize because this is the one I didn't have the PDF, and if I had the PDF, I'd put it up on the screen and show you like, hey, let's page through this thing. But anyways, you can roll randomly on some of these tables, or you just pick, right? Forbidden Lands GMing is easy, Sean. Each location tries to murder the party. Harrigan says that because this past week we ran into a ghost, and that was no fun. Kevin Keneally, who was here earlier, plays an orc. He must have taken like 15 to 20 points of damage, and in Forbidden Lands, that is a lot. And you get broken. I think he was broken 2 or at least twice, maybe 3 times. And if you played Forbidden Lands, that's a lot to even not die from. So every time you're broken, you roll on a crit chart. And depending on the type of damage you're sustaining, on that crit chart could be death. Like you roll 66 on a D66 table and you die. Like that's so anyways, these locations are pretty cool. So you can kind of do it by, I'll just give an example. If I had the table of contents to even just show you, it would make more sense. So destination, some of the examples are like burial ground, camp, fortress, headquarters, hideout, outpost, religious site, religious structure, residence, settlement, small location, watchtower. Then you've got the different environments, right? Like it's aquatic or coastal or desert. The dangers. Then it'll say like beast and unintelligent monsters, event, humanoids, intelligent monster, item, magic. Part 4 would be antagonists, humanoids, intelligent monsters. And then the last chunk of the book, looks like about 100 pages, is pre-generated destinations. So burial ground, camps, fortress, that I can just pick. But each table, it gives you a little more girth, right? So it's like, it's nice. I haven't delved into all of it, but I'm waiting to see. I might just futz around and create some stuff that's right out of this book randomly. They say sometimes you'll run into things that may conflict with each other. And they're like, rather than try to fix it, let the players figure out why there's a conflict and see what that looks like. Why is there a contradiction? So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with what it looks like and how they produced it. So and I went to go check out what the PDF's going to cost me. It's like $30. Dude, I can't buy 30. Well, I've talked about prices before in RPGs, but it would have been nice if I had thought about it. I think the PDF and print version would have been 50. So $10 more for the PDF. I don't know why I didn't chip in for it, but Michael says, oh yeah, Nord is top notch, in my humble opinion, and so many of their books are usable with any system like this Spectacular Settlements book. It is sitting right next to me. I use it for almost everything I run. Yeah. Yeah, so you're welcome, Nord Games. But check out some of their stuff. This one just happened to appeal to me because I wanted to get like the Settlements book. I think they've run more than one, and I probably even talked about or featured their Kickstarters during the stream at times. And I think there's another one that I got in on that's like card based, if I'm not mistaken. But I got this one because I think it can go further because of the dangerous destinations can incorporate a lot of different things. So I didn't want to just like, hey, here's the Book of Ends. Like, oh, so great if I need, I don't know, 100 ends. Huh? Next one. Can't see it. Cyberg. So I did not get Merkborg, and I don't have a black light. I've heard people shining black lights on this thing, and it's like crazy. If a book could be called, let me see, how would I put it? Ultra neon, then it would be this. Kind of digest size. I had the PDF and was paging through the PDF even before I got this, but I'll tell you what, this is a pretty cool little book. It's got the ribbon in it, a couple ribbons actually. The layout, like what I gotta know, I gotta look up in the credits. Art and editing by Johan Nohr. Johan is a beast. I gotta imagine he did. He must have done Merkborg. I gotta think he did, right? The only reason I gotta give him so much props is to like, hey, because if you like look at this from, I got an idea here. I should have prepped this. You know what? I have the PDF. I'll just pull up the PDF. To get this thing, like if you turn the page and you look at the page, and there might be like 5 words on one page, and then it's just all full bleed, and every page is different. I can't imagine putting this thing together. Like in some, right? Like if you take this Dangerous Destination, this thing, every page is the same, right? Essentially, other than maybe actually, yeah. Tables, it's pretty standard, like background, the page number. I don't know what the things around the page numbers are, and like your little index breadcrumbs at the bottom, like pretty standard, right? Just like put a layout down, every page is going to look like this. Man, the insanity that is behind Merkborg and Cyborg, it's nuts. Now, Cyborg is like metal cyberpunk, right? So if you're not into that genre, it's probably why you didn't get into it. Here we go. This will make me allow. Oh, and I don't even have it unzipped. It's crazy. Maybe I'll play. Maybe I'll run Cyborg. Right now, it's downloading from my Dropbox, and then unzipping. All right, so. Brad's this thing. I know you can't see it. Bear with me. Bear with me, people. Let's see, how am I going to do this? I'll do this. And that is not it. I think this will work. Oh, that's not what I really want, but hold on a second. Let me get this thing. Can you guys hear me? You guys probably can't hear me. Hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. It's like, ugh, doing this live blows. Here we go. I'm getting there. My monitor's so huge, it blew it up, and I have to resize it so I can get it on the screen. Now you're probably seeing it. Here we go. I think I can put it right here. Probably is the best. All right. All right. Let's see. Now I know you guys could see it. So this is the cover of the PDF. And I don't know if so this, I don't know if I got the fancy limited edition one. Maybe I did. I don't know. Anyways, this thing, if even the PDF doesn't do it any justice, and some of you probably have this and you're like, yeah, that's right. How bragging is modern. It's Victor, stop it. Yes, I am. the colors within the PDF, when you see them in print in a digest format, like it's crazy. Look at this thing. Hey, you know what? Why don't we put this, like, I don't know, we'll get this thing on there and we'll do some artwork. We'll put this on the page. That sounds great. Like, think of the brain that brought up some of this stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, typography, like, that's not even a font, man. You got to, like, bring up a font, put it in there, and then you got to mess with it. Like, it's, like I said, the messed up world they left us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words on one page. I gotta blow this up. I want to get a black light because people have said that there's like stuff in here and it just looks wild. No, your camera is not out of focus. My camera is not. That's what it looks like. So anyways, got this. Glad I did kick into it. I haven't played a ton of Cyberpunk, honestly. I played one Cyberpunk game, Cyberpunk Red. Jimmy, my buddy, ran it, and we played a Rock Band. I think I've mentioned that before. Doc was like the rocker boy. And then I played like the promoter, the Weasley promoter. Go figure. Yeah. Victor says I have a Merc Borg. I didn't go in for Cyborg, but it might be better for my taste. I mean, they're still got the edginess. I mean, look at this. There's a map of the city. The companies, right? The megacorps. So anyways, it's just cool. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if the game's that great, honestly. I mean, I have an understanding of the game, but look at this thing. I mean, now this could be like not your thing, right? Like I don't know, Sean. I don't get the scratchy pencil look and the colors, and there's just too much going on, which I can respect. Like art is hugely interpretive and preference based, so I get it. But I'm just like, man. So I flip the page, and then all of a sudden the art changes a little bit. Maybe I'll run this. Maybe I'll run a Cyborg adventure. It's dystopian, right? Traditional old school graphic design. Yeah. Victor's likes it. Based on what I've read so far, the setting is gritty, fun across between Night City and Venice. BK Dan. Gotta go. Got a D&D game soon. Prep for later. See ya, BK. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Cyborg and Blade Runner? Ooh. Maybe. See, the thing is Cyborg is such a rules light system I haven't played. Like, all my stuff is always like some crazy, it's all Free League stuff, Year Zero engine. I haven't played or run something simplistic, like toned down, where it's D6 only, right? And you just narrate it and say, yep, that works. Go ahead. Okay, well, maybe on a 1, give me a roll. Like, it might be quite refreshing. And I don't have to, plan out a whole campaign, right? Plus, there's elements in this, obviously, that you could use to do your own thing. I know, Harrigan. He says it's freeing. Dude, yeah. It is, but I want to have, obviously, some things, and I think the game lends itself to it, right? You roll on a couple tables, it gives you, like, the mission plot behind it, and you let her rip. See what comes up. The thing is that sometimes you got to let it you got to roll. And some game masters, man, they have a struggle with that. And I don't know if I'm still there. I could be that guy that just, I don't, like, where's the net? So you're going to want me to tightrope across this Grand Canyon and there's no net? That's the thing, right? Who's Breakers, man? Breakers was cool, man, for sure. Breakers, I know Breakers sounds cool. You gotta, I think I think there was a combination with Breakers. I don't know if Breakers is a great game, but what I could tell you this is Wayne ran a good game and the players were great players. Like that's the thing. Like I think you can have a genuinely, not that Breakers is a bad game, but I think you can have a really shitty game and have a good game master and great players and the game be damned, which is weird, right? Like some of you are Michael Scotting me like, boom, thank you, right? But for a con game, that might not come to fruition. I don't know. It's always a crapshoot because you don't really know who's next to you unless you know, like even the game that Mirko, the Easy to 6 game that Mirko came up with at Gamehole Con, you know, where we had to visit the grandmother and something happened and we had to investigate of why this thing occurred. And man, we busted his chops. The poor guy couldn't get a word in edgewise as the game master, but it was fun, right? Orcus Dorcas, do it. How Sean got his Borg back. Yeah. Lucas says, I'm enjoying the lighter rules with all the awesome flavor. Yeah. No net. Everyone also might not get or buy into the vibe of something like Cyborg. For sure. For sure. That's the thing. I would have to kind of, because, you know, here's the thing. I wasn't a punk, not that this is punk rock, right? Not that I'm saying this is punk, but there is, like, this is punk. I'm not saying this is punk, but this is punk, right? And I think that's the spirit, right? You talk about punk and cyberpunk and steampunk and what's punk and you know, and what does that mean when it comes to like a game? 100% punk for sure. And I wasn't a punk when I was a kid. Like I don't know. I was kind of a chameleon kid, you know, kind of hung out with anybody. I didn't really care or judge. Hung out with the nerds and the sports guys and, but some of the punk, like I'm going to spray paint a skull on the back of my jacket and wear chains around my neck and screw the man and just terrorize teachers on a daily basis was just not, I was more conformist. What can I say? So pulling this out and like, hey, here's the deal. Like this is 100% punk. And what does that mean? You got to come to the table knowing what that looks like. And if you've got that, right, Mohawk, yeah, absolutely, Hoos. So if you've got that in your background, like I remember when I used to wear black mascara and, you know, spikes across my hands and all this, and I contemplated getting a tattoo, like, not that everybody's, you know, but that's punk, right? That's the game. This is a give it to the man game. I believe it's part of character creation. Yeah. So let's go page through this a little bit because some of this is obviously, you know, flavor, right? Beneath the spider's web, a bridge, connecting size, many aisles. I mean, look at it. Completely different artwork. Like not one single page is the same. That's crazy to me. And this thing is, I mean, there's a couple here, maybe. No. Well, this one, I mean, and it's a spread, right? So it's probably related to each other. Look at this thing. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't have Merkborg, but I have to think that this is even further along with the stuff the person has to come up with in designing this layout. And this, I'm on page 78 right now. Let me see if I can get to the end. Some black and white stuff. These are, I think, rough. This is the adventure. Maybe I'll run this. Second floor. What is this? This is probably the built-in adventure, right? Random encounters. The big favor. Maybe that's the job. Maybe I'll run that. Don't read it. Takedown. Yeah, introductory cyborg heist. Lucky Flight takedown. So essentially, this right here is the end of the game book, I think, for the most part. 134 pages. And play Pink Floyd The Wall. Oh man, you gotta go EDM on this stuff, right? Right? EDM? Like Blade Runner ambient music? Maybe Lords of Acid? Probably Lords of Acid, right? I mean, the Floyd for sure. There's some points in there, but all right, Dorcas, we'll talk to you later, man. Sex Pistols, maybe. Blocks Sex Pistols. Black Flag, yeah. I can't. Well, we'll see. But anyways, Cyborg, newest. Like paging through this thing. I mean, I had started paging through it when I got the PDF, and I was like somewhat baked, and was on my tablet, and I was like, whoa. And now I've got the book. I mean, can you imagine if this was like an 8.5 by 11? That'd be freaking dope. That'd be dope, yo. Yeah, it's kind of like, reminds me like nuclear fallout in modern day cyberpunk, right? It's got these crazy stuff going on. Look at that thing. Bruh. So, I wanted to share that. Rage Against the Machine, Henry Rollins, i7. Is that i7? Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll run the scenario in the back. But with Cyborg, if you're doing jobs, you got to really kind of be on the ball because you got to roll with it. The L7, thanks. You got to be on the ball because players are never going to go in a direction that makes any sense whatsoever or something you're never going to see. So you just got to be able to tackle that. That's why I have to give my buddy Jimmy so much props for running so many Shadowrun games. I'm sure he's like, well, here are 3 different options, right? Like, here are 3 things that the characters might come up with, like if they're going to do a job. But there's always going to be some weird curveball. Like, hey, why don't we talk with the target's mother, and then we'll, what? How am I going to tackle this? So it'll be fun. It might be something I run. We'll see. I got to read it over. Feng Shui I just want to do Feng Shui because I think it would just be fun. I mean, we did Breakers. Can you imagine what Feng Shui would be like with shticks and like, it's just off the wall stuff? Harrigan knows what I'm talking about. Bronco, playing Bronco and Feng Shui. For sure. We'll see. Anyways, I don't have anything else to talk about, really. Apparently, like, who's posted something for the video? Colville's video. Ugh. It's funny. Matt Colville, huge following, has had some very huge successful Kickstarters, has Arcadia Magazine. I don't even know if he has a day job like he used to working in video games. I don't think he quit, but I don't know. His Kickstarters and stuff might have been allowed him to do that. Brett's always been a big, huge fan of Matt and has used a lot of the topics that Colville has put out there on his YouTube channel as topics of inspiration that we've talked about on Gaming and BS back in the day. Most recently, Matt put out the video that said, hey, here's one reason that D&D can't do everything well, and it's okay. And Brett said, I was right all along. He's acquiesced and said, you know what? I was wrong. Sean was right. I only say this because I know who's put the video on the Discord, and Brett had posted the video and said, hey, I watched this video and I've had an epiphany, and you know what? I've rethought my life and I could see where Sean's coming from now. Which is right what Victor said, which is mechanics matter. It was like, it's not you, Sean, right? It's him. I think some people are wondering like what I probably thought of that, how it came up, and because I guess part of it is interesting because it reminds me of, maybe some of you have encountered this, where you would say something to somebody close to you, like maybe it's your significant other, and they ask you a question, you tell them, and they go, oh, that's nice. And they either blow you off or they accept it as kind of like, not here, but maybe here. And then another person, third party, who absolutely has no relationship whatsoever, tells them the same thing. And then it becomes a real. Then it becomes not only here, but up here. Like, you have to go, you know, what am I, chop liver? So it's good that Brett has maybe had this epiphany. It's good. I think it's a good thing, in short, because there's merit to it, right? Yeah, you can take D&D. So if you're not familiar with this whole diatribe I'm getting into, is Brett and I had conversations. So Gaming BS, Brett and I had a 7-year running podcast. If you haven't checked it out, it's still out there. You can listen to all the backlog. And at one point in time, there was discussion around, well, hey, I could, this cyborg, it's really cool. This is what it does. I'm really interested to get it to the table because it's got this cool mechanic in it that allows, and it feels like you're hacking the Gibson or whatever that is. And you, so like if it facilitates, like this is a cyberpunk game and there's mechanics that facilitate that type of game and feel, right? And Brett's argument at the time was, I could do that with D&D. Not only can I do it with D&D, I've done it with D&D. So I don't need that game, right? And that debate had gone on for quite some time. And to the point where there was one episode where we started and then we went live, and it was like, I'm not letting this die. I want to talk about it. And there was an analogy that I brought up, like a pickup truck. Okay. And older games, right? So older games, AD&D, right? And taking that and making it into a cyberpunk game. And I was saying that you can do it, like you can have a pickup truck and you could put a bunch of crap in the back of it and you could haul it down the street. You could do that with a 1930 pickup truck, and you can do it with a 2022 pickup truck, modern day. But there's differences between the two. And Brett was just fighting me tooth and nail on that whole analogy. And it's like, in some respects, it does what you need it to do, but in other respects, it will come up short. There are benefits to having a more modern design, whether it's more power, or it can go through different terrain better. Whatever it is, it's got a stereo when, the old one doesn't. And so it was just, so recently Brett watched Colville. And it's funny because it's weird because I don't think Matt watches us. He doesn't know us from a hole in the ground. But it's just funny because we'll cover a topic, and then literally a week or two later, Colville will put out a video talking about that specific thing. And it happened once or twice. I'm sure it's strictly coincidence, and I mean that sincerely. But it was just funny that Brett brought it up, and I watched that video, and I'm like, dude, what? Maybe he just explains it better. I don't know. I don't think it is as a Brett versus Sean thing. It's always seemed that you were not on the same wavelength with some topics, but that's okay. Well, and we never wanted to be necessarily. Same wavelength, I think, is like we can argue and not agree, which is always something I wanted as part of the show. Like I didn't want kumbaya every episode. Hey, I like that game. So do I. Let's go play it. It's great. Even if we did, I'd always want to play devil's advocate because I don't think a lot of the audience members would agree. Like if they came to us and it conflicted with somebody that was listening, then they would be like, well, I don't know why I'm listening to these guys because there's no dialogue of difference. And I think that's important sometimes. Even if it's not something I would take, like Brett and I could both love Vaesen. But I would also want to be a devil's advocate and say, well, why would somebody want to play this game just so that the person listening who's not a fan of Vaesen could understand where we're coming from? Anyways, start at episode 1 and work your way forward. I could do anything in versus it depends. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Or your kid hears the same thing from some stranger and acts like, why didn't anyone tell me? Yeah. Right. Wayne's commenting on the like third party telling you like, hey, he's like, oh. Anyways, so I only bring that up because it was brought up on the Discord, who's put the video out there. And if you're interested, I will actually pull up the video so that there is context around what the hell I'm talking about. And I would be interested to know if it is something that you yourself understands. Like if you've had that, I think most of you understand that different games facilitate different things for reasons, right? But there are some people that like are hell-bent on keeping like
what,
I'm gonna,
if anything, is Dungeons and Dragons.
There's people that like, hey, I'm gonna take this and play 5e, and I'm gonna, like the more recent cyberpunk Netflix series that got a little, what is it, like Bell of Souls, or somebody wrote an article. I can't remember the website. It might not be Bell of Souls, but in a web piece that said, hey, here's how you make this anime cyberpunk series and use D&D. And people are like, why would you do that? There's an actual cyberpunk red RPG that it's based on. Just use that game. So Ty says, yeah, Cortex Prime. Yeah, sure. Wait, Victor says, your show never came off like the shills of X, like some other podcasts have. Like thanks, Victor. Appreciate it. So anyways, this, whoa, doesn't, what? Oh, this is not, why did that come up on this? Hold on a second. So that's the video.
If anything,
I put in
is Dungeons and Dragons
want to play
about
through here,
and how
it's 32 minutes. But he goes into, why is that over? Oh, interesting. There. But I think I have to say this. Because Matt Colville is in the circles and has the following that it has, I think when he talks about this stuff, it's very important for the hobby, in my opinion, because he's got such a reach, and his reach is a lot of 5e players or D&D players. Not all just play D&D, but, I would imagine a fair number of his subscribership and people that buy his products are very much in line with, might have a lot of the thinking that Brett did prior to this week. His mouth is always open like that. Weirds me out. I just happened to, Matt Colville here. I wanted to do a parody of Matt. I'm sure, a good guy. I love to meet him. He seems so intense. What I really love is how he says 5e doesn't do anything really well. Yeah. Look, Sean, you're always trying to look in his giant mouth hole. Thanks, Murder Hobo. He even said the topic is something he thought about a long time before making it. Yeah, for sure. Brett just loves this guy. It's probably one of the only YouTube channels that, I don't know if Brett even watches this. I'm sure he doesn't. But he devours Colville. He really does. But anyways, I think it's important for somebody like Matt who puts that out there because, man, it's like long overdue. And there's a lot of people that are really, really, really hung up in the 5th edition ecosystem that and it's a weird thing where they will say, I don't want to learn a new game because it takes a lot, but they don't even know what that means necessarily. I don't know. So, anyways, 5e made D&D a brand for sure, and they should have done it all along. It should have always been a brand. Like, that's what's missed in some of the different iterations, is that D&D is a brand. It is a brand, and it always has been. They just haven't. They didn't know what to do with it. Like, I'm telling you, it's kind of like with the new leadership at Wizards. If you want D&D as a brand, then you've got to get people that understand what that means and make that happen. You can't be an RPG company that has like a marketing manager that learned marketing and they know D&D really well and then take it as a brand. It's the same reason why you hire people from Microsoft to take your stuff digital. They have failed miserably in the digital realm. So they bring in people that are like, we need you to take us there. So, because you've been there. And they go, okay, no problem. But this is what I'm going to need. I'm going to need millions of dollars. Yeah, we're willing to do that. Okay. That's for the budget. And then I need to get paid a lot of money. Yeah. If you can get us there and execute on this, well, yep, you've got it all. Okay. Right? That's Dungeons and Dragons, mark my words, should be Kiss. The rock band Kiss. Like, as much as Gene Simmons could be Gene Simmons, they put Kiss on every damn thing you can think of. Lunch boxes, cigarette lighters, man, it's just, they're all over the place. There's not a band in the world that's probably marketed and been a brand bigger than Kiss, in my opinion. And that's what Dungeons and Dragons should have always been. But you got middle-aged white guys in the 80s. And frankly, they probably couldn't have pulled it off anyway back then. They could have. I mean, they had a cartoon. But now, with social media and YouTube and actual plays and licensing, they should just have that stuff. Everything. Lego should have sets. They should have, they got books obviously covered, but man, I don't know. Wayne says, hey, Colville does a good job of evangelizing the hobby and hand-holding a lot of new GMs. Absolutely. I'm not diminishing any credit from Matt whatsoever. Like, no way. He's done a great job, and he's not a negative guy. He's not a gatekeeper. He's heavily into the 5th edition space, even though he has talked about 4th edition and different editions that he's played in some of his history. But yeah, he's definitely a decent ambassador, I think, for the hobby, for sure. No question about it. So it does help when he talks about stuff like that. Absolutely. Not taking anything away from him. Along with advertising the back molars and tonsils. Matt Colville. Gotta get down some Matt Colville. Maybe I'll go for Halloween next year as Matt Colville. Matt Colville. I mean, some of the I don't think he uses a teleprompter that I can tell. And you could tell typically if there's takes, right? Because there's small edits that just will cut. If he's doing these in like 1 or 2 takes, man, he is a speaking machine, because that is not easy. I mean, I'm doing it live here, but he's got such a rhythm and cadence that he's got what he wants to say, and he knows just how to say it without any break or like, I mean, I'll even stumble over my words. I think the next time some of us sit down to play, we should all play our PCs as Colville. Oh. BSerCon live stream. Matt Colville plays D&D. I will run a 5th edition game. I will come with a beard and mustache. I'll have to grow it out now to get it to like that length. Bonuses, and everybody, that's the bonus. Like if you come to the game and anything you can attribute to being more like Matt Colville, you get like your character goes up a level. And then we all play that 5 or 6 Colvilles. I'll say the many faces of Colville, and then we'll do it on Twitch and record it and put it out on YouTube. It would be epic. And I would put that in the game. Like, you are going to be playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And, oh, for sure, Harrigan. I respect the hell out of him, too. Yes. You would get, like, inspiration for talking like Matt Colville, and you would have, oh, my God, can you imagine? It would be hilarious. Like, how long could you talk about one specific thing in the game? He does write scripts. He's mentioned it before. Oh, interesting. He has a talent for public speaking. Obviously. Besides RPG books, why can't D&D get it right outside of that format? The movies are always really bad. We'll see. It might change with the newest one coming out in March. CJ, just sneak in here. CJ, you gotta tell us what your second RPG was that you played. Did you tell? You didn't say that, did you? Did I overlook it? Second RPG you ever played. That's the initiation question today. He says, I think that's part of the strategy now for 5. You make it generic, broad enough to appeal as much as you can. Then market the customizability without it really being that customizable. Who says I can see a Vegas con with a room of Colville impersonators? So you gotta, I'm messing with a guy who's got like 400,000 subscribers on his channel. When gets out, man, they're gonna, who knows? All hell will break loose. I would like to meet him. I'm surprised. Like I don't know if he makes a lot of conventions. Like I don't know a lot of like appearances of his at a convention. Like I should ask Alex, like, hey, you should bring him to Gamehole Con. Can you imagine being in one of his games? I know he plays, like he's run live actual plays, which I have not seen. So I'll have to watch because I got to get my Colville down, right? 5 or 6 Colvilles, man. Bad dye job. Come on. Let's get too crazy. I would play as Colville. I'm a fan, but still sounds good. Next RPG, everyone is Colville. Matt, I don't think you'll ever watch this, man. But seriously, much respect. What you've done is not easy. We had a podcast with not even close to a exposure that you get, and so you're the stuff you've produced. So I'm talking to Matt Colville because he'll never see this, but the stuff you've produced is good stuff. I actually have gone in on 2 Kickstarters now for him, right? Strongholds, Castles and Strongholds, and then the other one that's coming, right? Shoot, escapes my memory, but I backed it. You could look it up. So, League of Extraordinary Matt Colvilles. Yes. Respect the hell out of him, to be clear. Yeah, I bet Matt would love that for sure. We got to totally do that. Canceled by Colville. Maybe. Who knows? Oh, you got to do it right at the camera. You can see how far back behind I am. Never heard of Colville before now. Serious, Ty? Yeah, check him out. I mean, at least look at his stuff. I mean, now he might go over 1 million subscribers if, just because of this promotion we're doing. Right. I got to monetize. I need like 1,000 subs. I'm at like 400. I have every checkbox for monetization done, which includes the 4,000 hours of watched content, which is usually the biggest hurdle. Like getting people to watch this channel for 4,000 hours. But now I got to just get the subscriber count. I know why it's lagging. I can fix that, but it'll take some time. But anyways, yeah, you got to target locked at the camera. Right at the camera. So close. I laugh because I haven't done it, and he's doing it, and he's doing a great job. Murder Hobo. Ty's never heard of Coca-Cola or Nike before either. Ty's like my dad. Hate D&D. Does he talk about anything else? CJ says, yeah, I was slacking. 2nd edition D&D was my second. TMNT was my first. Nice. Thank you for participating, sir. Like, quick, get Ty a care package put together ASAP. Include Coca-Cola and Nike YouTube videos. Matt does a good job. It's not like 5th edition. Some of them are like, hey, this is how it works in 5th edition, but a lot of it's just commentary about, and he comes from the D&D space for sure, but it's not just D&D. Like his latest video that Brett found interesting was, D&D can't do everything, and that there's a reason that people play other games and you do other things in different games that facilitate, and the mechanics facilitate different evokes different things in different games. So Colville and Gamehole, yeah. Kingdoms and Warfare. Thanks, Hoos. So I've got those, or I'm getting them, right? So I have Kingdoms and Warfare. That's coming. That's the one I'm waiting for. I had mine reprinted. So anyways, I'm kind of ranting and bantering at this point, just hanging out because I don't have to get off the air. But obviously, Hoos does. See you, Hoos. Export this channel to podcast. I've thought about it, but the only problem is that it would be awkward. Because I think I could, I guess, but I have to make a very special effort to make sure I realize that it's also audio. So, for example, Forbidden Lands, we're recording video. And if I do something funny, but it's not verbal, then it's lost in the audio, right? So Forbidden Lands, we got our asses kicked this past week. So I pulled out Alien the RPG and started reading it, knowing that we might get TPK'd. If that's not spelled out in audio, people are like, what is so funny, right? So I got to make sure Murder Hobo. Talk about Mind Control, Mind Master Game Channel. Yeah. Yeah, I have been thinking about GM Mastermind and maybe doing solo. I don't know. I don't know if that would have wheels. Because then it kind of crushes the theme that it started out with. So, but it's easy. Just sit down, The problem, I'll tell you the problem. The problem is me coordinating people and getting different people. I could hit up a lot of folks that have offered to be on the show, but there's a double edge with the coordination of the show. One is you got to have a topic. Two, you have to have people on the show that are willing to talk about the topic. The chicken and the egg comes into play. So you either have the topic and people are like, oh, I would talk about that. Or you have the people and they would want to talk about a specific topic. So, with Caleb and Bridget, for example, on one of the episodes, I know they're both in the horror space. So in suspense space. So I knew that would be easy to nail. But if I say, hey, I want to talk about converting a system, well, I have to hit up Christian, and Christian has to be available, and he has to be willing to want to talk about it because he converted Eberron into Savage Worlds. So what does that look like from a game master perspective who wants to do that? And it doesn't even have to be a game master. It could be just a player, but typically GMs are doing that. And if I want to just do it with Christian, that's fine, but then it's only Christian. So do I get another person, and who would that be? So it's like all this. I have all kinds of excuses if you would like to listen to me spout them. Yeah, it's getting people on the show. I know he's wait. And Christian, I actually had lined up, but he was going to be on vacation the week we were going to record. He's like, I can't do it next week. And I was trying to get one more person, so it got delayed. So most of it was my fault. Not really. It's all Christian's fault. So that's the trick. And then I don't want, 50 people that look like me on the show necessarily. Like there is something to be said about people having different perspectives and coming from different backgrounds, because we don't always think of those different things. And so they can also open doors and eyes to things that we haven't considered before. So that's the big deal. And I would listen to Serrano all night long too. In fact, I put him on the background during sexy time, but I don't know if I needed to know that, but okay. Looks like you have a fan, Christian. So it is something I want to do. I still want to consider it, but I mean, I don't know if that means hiring some virtual assistant just to round people up and comb sites and say, hey, we would like you on the show, and because we want to talk about what you appreciate or what that looks like. So I record myself reading rules for you. Yeah, Christian's got some voiceover cred. He does some voiceover. Don't let him fool you. We always do episodes with you and one other if scheduling is an issue. The less amount of people, the easier it is. No question about it. So there is that option. So we'll see. We'll see. I like the premise of the show. Like we got a lot of people that have selected like a bunch of topics. I've taken down a lot of topic notes. So they're there, but it's just, and I could blast it out, but my audience is a lot of people like me. So if I get a lot of BSers and say, hey, I want to talk about this, sure, I could get people that would be willing to be on the show. I've got probably 20 people that have offered. And there's nothing against those. And I would love to tap that as a resource, but I also have to be conscious of making sure that's me. That's the way I want to roll. So I wouldn't rule all of them out by any means, but that's some of the hurdles I'm looking at. The wild die. Any help would be appreciated. And that may be the thing. Like, dude, you just got to ask for help and ask the right people. For sure. Like, no question. Yeah. It's not a huge time sink. Like, literally a lot of the episodes, it's just, can you be here on this day at this time? Yes. Okay, great. And I've recorded all over. It's not just, hey, Sean's only recording on Wednesday nights at 8:00, because I know that's going to be hard for anybody. So, yeah, man. Yes, Christian. Yeah. You gave me that one person too. The YouTuber that was just trying to take off. Certainly willing to reach out to her. I should probably look up in our history and who that was and do that. But the one thing is I don't know if she had done conversion before, right? So, but yeah, on the air, hit record. I do very little editing unless there's like something that comes up in the recording that's like, well, that's really got to be chopped because we got off on a different path. But a lot of it for an hour isn't too bad. You get maybe sometimes getting to the point where it's like, oh, starting to circle back to this again. And then you got to kind of cut it. But I don't think it was bad necessarily. So, itches. We'll see. We shall see. But I think I'm at the end of the ropes here for today. Still playing Forbidden Lands? Yeah, we play in every 2 weeks. Sometimes we have to miss a week. Harrigan is still at the helm. And this past week, we got whooped up on bad. Like, I don't know if any of us are going to survive this bad. One monster really put the hurt on us. And you know what? It's a good thing. We laugh and we think it's great. Like, we're all over it. And we've run into a lot of setbacks, like literally in the past 2 or 3 sessions. We've probably ran into more setbacks than we have in the last 6 months. Just like to the point where my character thinks, man, why don't we just get a stronghold and call it a day? Like, screw this going to the Bitter Reach quest, you know? So it's good. It's fun. It's really, really enjoying myself. So yeah, playing Forbidden Lands. I don't know if we'll ever get to the Bitter Reach. We've got the live plays out there if you want to check them out. They're on this channel, the videos, and then I'm taking the audios and extracting it and putting it out on audio. And it is, I don't call it, see, to me, I don't know if I'd lump it into actual play, because I think actual play sets a certain connotation. I would say it's a live play, a live recorded play. I don't know. The reason I say that is because it's just us and we hit record. That's kind of it. Like, there's no huge polish. And thanks, Victor. There's weird gaps in silence as we look up stuff. Like, it's a game group, and that's okay. Like, I'm perfect, and the guys are willing to do it, which is saying something, because the guys could be like, dude, I don't want to put myself out there and hear people, hear me play or whatever. And so they've been good sports. And I think it's fun. Like, I genuinely listen to our live plays, and I think there's parts in the adventures where it's like kind of funny, or but it's, like I said, live plays are an interesting beast, because like podcasts, you are either going to love them or hate them. And the reasons are going to be all over the place. So it's a camera pointed at a real game. Exactly. Yeah, Harrigan for sure. There's a couple that were a little rough. Like the first one covered session 0 and even part of session 1 in one. So there's a lot of awkward silences as we get our characters together. But yeah, the thing is I put it out there, and if nobody watches it, that's all right. I listen to it and watch it, because if I'm playing, am I taking up too much of the spotlight? Whatever. And plus I think it's funny, and it's a good recap. A lot of it for recap. So actually started. Yeah, pretty crazy, right, Christian? So the Bitter Unreachable, and Harrigan had asked me like if I wanted to bring back my game, which is interesting, because I don't think I have. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 recorded sessions, but I don't think it was consistent. And I don't remember where my game. I don't know if the last session of my game was recorded. I have to check. And the reason I say that is because the guys went through essentially a stone portal in the middle of a glade in the forest. And that's where it ended. So where did they end up? It's not dramatized roleplay. Although I'm traumatized. Not traumatized, dramatized. But it's fun. People, and they're long though. Like a lot of beefs that people have with a lot of actual play that are recorded audio wise are just they're I can't listen to like 2 hours or 4 hours of this. That's kind of a game session, right? Could probably break it up. The other one's Impossible Landscapes, and that's still going. So we play that on Tuesday, which is getting even more interesting. And I think we'll see. We might wrap up the first chapter. I don't know. The last session, they were encountering all kinds of crazy stuff in the McAllister building. So Delta Green, good stuff. So Forbidden Lands, Impossible Landscapes, great stuff. And as far as I know, we're going to continue on it. There's no talks of end in sight. But Aragon mentioned, like, hey, do you want to pick your game back up? Because he'd like to get back to that eventually. So at some point, we'll maybe switch. And then it's a good place to pick up because they went through, I could say, previously in this one, campaign 1 or 2, I guess it depends on how you look at it. This is what happened. So whoever starts can literally start from scratch. And I could do a huge, long recap of that campaign, which was fun. Harrigan's brought in more lore and more of the setting components than I probably did in mine. But the nice thing about being in his game as a player is I can go, oh, that's maybe how I should do mine. That's the cool thing about watching and listening to some of these plays and being in a game and then playing in the game and running the game and then having the same player in the game is you can take some notes and say, oh, and cues. Say, oh, I don't know why I never brought that in. I should probably do that, like the demons or something, right? Playing the rules a little bit helps, yeah. We do. Sometimes we don't even mention what we rolled because you can see it. And we put the die roller on the video. But in the audio, it's not there. But you'll hear like, oh boy, right? Is that good or bad? And then all of a sudden, the action is narrative. There isn't a ton of mechanics that we get bogged up on in Forbidden Lands. But when we do, we'll talk about it like, oh, I don't know if that's right. Oh, you're casting at power level 3, so we don't get into a ton of the details. But a lot of it's just skill, trait, D6s, and pushing, and then whatever those results are. And, it's whether you're making camp, hunting for food, fighting a monster, sneaking, it's all the same. There's very few, subsystems that would be outside the normal stuff. Yeah, and Wayne, I forgot not to take anything away from Wayne because the orc took the brunt, but Wayne's playing a caster and he had 3 spell mishaps. And I mean, some crazy stuff can happen on a spell mishap in Forbidden Lands. Yeah, I'll say it again. Harrigan says helps to have good players. Good GM, good players. Game could be junk. Good game could be complicated. As long as you have a good combination of people at the table, doesn't matter. I think that's, if it's anything I've come to the conclusion about, it's that. It's just because you could have a great game and then one person at the table and they don't jam or gel. Jam is what you put on bread that is sometimes called jelly. So that's why jam. They don't jam. Pretend Wizards and Sounds Like Crows are a fantastic podcast to listen to for a GM. Both GMs do a great job of theater of the mind descriptions. Oh, interesting. How many hands is Wayne up to now? He hasn't cut off any hands recently. Maybe that's the problem. Ascalon is the character that Wayne plays, an elf. And early on in the scenario, we'll just say that he has a kind of an attraction to people's hands. But that is curbed. Ascalon has been less creepy than ever. but other things are happening for sure. Yeah. Oh man, good times. Good times. Good times. I'm gonna let you guys go. Been on for a little while. Really, really appreciate it. As always, thanks for tuning in. I know you guys don't have to. There could be other things that you want to do, but I enjoy this because of you guys. Like literally, if there was no chat room, I probably wouldn't do this. Maybe I would, but it'd be really weird and awkward. But thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of these folks that have supported the show and continue to support the show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. BSRCon, don't forget, check it out. There's a link somewhere up above. Or go to our Discord if you haven't joined. It's got its own forum thing going on there. So if you're not on our Discord, you can go to gmmastermind.com/Discord, or you can go to gamingnbs.com/Discord, and it'll get you to our Discord. And then there you can probably say, hey, where's the link to this con that they're throwing? And we'll get you to the right place. But other than that, give this a like and subscribe if you would be so kind. And otherwise, play some good games, take care of yourself, take care of others, and be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. We'll see you next week.